My name is Bastian. In today's video, I want to give you 5 production tips which can help you step up your production a lot. I've been doing feedback streams for quite a while now, and I've always noticed that people are ignoring a few really important issues. And this is exactly why I'm making this video today, to give you some advice how you can fix your productions in a really easy way. Also, quick note ahead, you can apply these techniques to any genre, especially in bass music, and also maybe to some more mainstream-ish genres. But in general, I would say that the advice is more directed to electronic music genres. Before we get into the production tips, make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you are new here, and also leave a comment, which is the best way to support the channel. I would love to hit 5,000 subscribers until the end of the year, which is a big milestone. But now let's finally get into my top 5 production tips. Tip number 1, do not produce on the grid. In my DAW, you can see that the flow is not lying on the grid. And the reason is really simple. It gives more swing, it gives more flow. In my feedback streams, I notice it quite often that people are placing their basses just on the grid without any flow. And this feels really static and really lifeless. And this is a really important advice in my opinion. Definitely try it out and try to come up with more natural sounding flows. This song I'm currently working on is also coming out tomorrow. I need to do quite some stuff here, but this is what it sounds like right now. So the flow feels really natural and has some fun swing. What I also like doing is using a delay on my bass group, which just allows me to move everything in this group by a few milliseconds to the right. So in this example, the entire bass group is moved 17.1 milliseconds to the right, and you can just play around with the timings and try to come up with cool flows, which you would not have expected to get before. And this is a great way to make your dubstep tune feel more alive. Of course, when it comes to the drums, you can see that they are on the grid. Production tip number 2. It's really important that you have a contrast between your build-up and your drop. I always have to point it out in my feedback streams, but many producers are not caring for their build-ups to be a little bit quieter and less impactful than their drops. So please be aware of dropping the energy in the drop. Try to not waste the energetic potential which your drop can have by slamming so much stuff into the build-up and getting it to 0 LUFS. That's not the point of a build-up. So reduce your stuff going on in the build-up, have some nice risers going up, maybe a bass which is already teasing your drop, but in a different way with convolvers, frequency shifters, and so on and so on. There's no right or wrong. In this example, you will hear perfectly what I mean. So this is what the build-up is sounding like. I muted the pre-drop vocal because I don't want to tease it yet. So if you want to hear what the pre-drop is sounding like, make sure to check out the tune tomorrow when it comes out on SoundCloud. It's for Tynan's remix contest, his name is. So I'm really excited to share the full song with you tomorrow. Also, I don't have a mastering chain yet. This is why it's peaking positive LUFS. But I think you can easily get my point here. So in the build-up, it's peaking at around -3 LUFS. And in the drop, we are hitting around -1/0 LUFS. The build-up can be loud, but the drop needs to be louder. And you have to find the right way to balance everything. Of course, you don't have to hit 0 LUFS in the drop. Just try to get it maybe under -5 LUFS. I think that's like a good direction. I'm naturally able to achieve the loudness because of compression, lots of spectral compression. Shout out Nesco for SpecComp, which I use all the time. There will also be a dedicated updated video about SpecComp at some point in the future. So I'm really looking forward to this as well. But you can see the build-up. It's quieter. And then the entire energy drops in the drop, also the entire stereo image. And this is a bonus tip for this. On the master, I have an automation which is moving down the stereo image to around 70%. I sometimes even go lower to 60%. It depends on the context. But this time I lowered the stereo image to around 70% before the drop. And when the drop hits, all the stereo is there again. Plus the additional stereo from all the sounds going on in the drop. And this perfectly leads us to production tip number 3, the stereo image. I need to say it again, but in my feedback streams, I notice it quite often that producers are not caring about their stereo image. They are leaving out space in the mix which could be used to make your song super loud and super clean as well. And the easiest way to achieve a clean stereo image is by using the Dimension Expander from Xfer. Unfortunately, I'm somehow not able to use the standalone version of the Dimension Expander. This is why I'm always using Serum 1 FX, so I'm just able to use the Dimension module here. I'm not even using the Hyper module, so I always have the mix down on 0. But on the Dimension Expander, I always put the size to 0%, and then I play around with the mix depending on the sound. Like on these crunchy bits, the stereo is not that wide. It's around 33%. But for example, when we look at this layer of the tear-out gun, it's a bit wider. All the different layers are being stereo processed, so I'm just able to perfectly make them fit in the mix down. Another example is the sustain. And this is all the way up, as you can see here. This perfectly helps me getting my desired result. which sounds like this. In one of my recent videos about the top 5 free plugins you should get, I recommended the stereo tool, which is in my opinion the best way to meter your stereo image. So make sure to watch the video if you want some more information about the stereo tool. I use it all the time. It's super nice and easy to use. Production tip number 4, background effects do more than you think. I notice it quite often that soundtracks I receive in the feedback streams are lacking of background effects. Sounds which can help you to enhance the drop sounds and also make your song come alive more. This is what the effects are sounding like on their own. I'm using a bunch of different samples like these background effects from Nesco or some VR zaps and some kerosene effects, just some stuff which fit the context. And this perfectly helped me filling some empty spaces in the song and just enhancing the overall amount of frequencies throughout the entire song. Without the background stuff, the song would sound like this. Also quite nice, but it feels like a stem is missing. So with the background effects, it sounds like this. Production tip number 5, volume leveling. It's so easy, but it's also so crucial. First, I want you to monitor the low end of the drop. You can see that the sub bass is always the loudest element and the drums are always punching through the entire song. And the tip I want to give you when you start a new song idea, please do not lower the volume of your drums. So let's say you just loaded in this beautiful Nimda kick sample in your track. And now you start decreasing the volume of your kick drum, which completely distorts your perception of energy, in my opinion. When you load in drum samples, they are mostly maximized. This one is even clipping. So let's, for example, take this Virtual Riot kick. This one is perfectly maximized, but some people would now go in the DAW and just lower the volume and using this as an orientation, which I don't understand, to be honest. I noticed for myself that it helps me a lot when the drums already have the volume which they would have in the final result. So you don't have to push them in loudness and just leave them perfectly maximized in your DAW. So you can use them as an orientation point and anchor and build everything around the drums. And this is also a great way to achieve a clean and loud mix down. And when it comes to the sub bass, the most important element in my opinion, you can also already start pushing it really loud and just getting it loud in a really clean and natural way without having it to boost on your master. So try to get your best mix down done before the mastering step. The mastering step should just be the last 5% because you can achieve everything before the master. When we just look at the tear-out gun, you can see that it's perfectly loud. All the frequencies are distributed like they are supposed to. So always make sure the drums and the sub bass are the loudest parts in your song and build everything around it. Bonus tip now, please start referencing. So grab tunes you like songs from Virtual Riot, from Nimda and so on. Just load in their songs in the DAW and see how they distributed the frequencies over the spectrum. And you will also see the sub bass and the drums are the loudest parts and everything else is built around them. When I started referencing, I was finally able to understand what was missing in my productions. And that's it for my top 5 production tips. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and also let me know if I should make a part 2 and even a part 3. I have so much advice to give out. That's it for today's video. See you in the next one. Have a great day and goodbye.